Welcome to Lockdown Launchpad. Really good to have so many of you on, and thanks for making it this early, bright and early in the morning, 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. Now, it is the 12th of May 2020, and obviously a lot has been going on over the last particularly 7 weeks since the UK has been in lockdown, longer in other countries, where some of you are. And what I wanted to use this time for, and to help you to use this time for, was to try and help you to bring some clarity to some of those ideas that I'm certain you have had over this period. Whether it's ideas about a potential new business that you wanted to launch, whether it is ideas around your current business and how you are going to be in a position to relaunch it as we start to open up and as customers start to come back into the market. And also, if you think that you really need to pivot that business, perhaps you anticipate that the demand for your product, for whatever reason, whether it's because of the closeness of how you sell your product physically with people, or perhaps it just isn't fit for the market anymore. Or there just isn't anybody out there who's going to be, as many people are going to be wanting it. So the idea here is to provide you with some actionable tips, something that you can really use that is going to help you within your business to launch, relaunch, or pivot. All right, those are the kind of three concepts or three ideas that we're really looking to get going on here. So without further ado, let us get stuck in. And what I wanted to start with was actually one of my favorite quotes. All right, this is from Benjamin Franklin, which is, do what you can with what you have where you are. All right, now we are in our own little boxes at the moment, most of us. We are not in a position to go and get as many resources as we perhaps would like. And I'm certain that part of that will be the customer base that we would want to go and attract as well. But certainly what we actually have is pretty phenomenal, right? So I am talking to all of you down a camera, down a phone, actually. I'm presenting a webinar from a room in a house. I have set up a nice little screen here. We've got the Growtion formula elements behind. So we are able to communicate these ideas and able to help each other in ways that even 3-5 years ago would not have been possible. So whilst it is very easy and natural for us to focus very much on what we are missing and what we have lost, perhaps what we don't do quite as much is focus on what we have and how technology particularly, but also human ingenuity has enabled our race to be able to do all of this. So yes, it brings with it risk and in many instances tragedy, but also it brings with it opportunity and a will to get out there to help each other and to make sure that those within our communities, those that we seek to serve, are able to participate in what we're looking to do as well. So what I hope you get out of this is the ability to do what you can, what you have where you are. I am sure, roughly where you want this kind of business or this idea to get to. You have had 7 weeks at this point of being very, very tightly locked down. That is going to change, and that is going to open up over the next 3 weeks. Hopefully then from the beginning of June, we then start to see even more, and then from the beginning of July we start to see even more here in the UK. I know again elsewhere it's moving at different speeds, but as those stages are crossed, then we have a responsibility to our businesses, to our ideas, to those that we seek to serve, to have got in place a lot of the thinking and a lot of the energy and a lot of the efforts that we're wanting to do. So what I just wanted to do is just kind of say hi to people who are out there. Hi, good to see you guys. If you've got any questions at all, I can see there's Grant, Jimmy, Pratik, there's Jennifer, and many others. What I want you to do, please, is can you just click on the Q&A button that is, I think, at the top of your screen. You can ask any questions along the way. and I'll be delighted to answer them as we go. Alternatively, there is going to be a section at the end where you can ask questions as they come up as well. So let's start then with product concept. So this is a very simple question, but it is one that should and does open up the world of your business. All right, and it's a personal question. All right, and what I find particularly within the SME community is that it is so personal, and it is so important for people to understand and to really get inside themselves about this, that perhaps now is the perfect time for that, when you aren't as distracted by all of these other inputs coming at you. I know, of course, there is email. I know, of course, there are phone calls. I know, of course, there are children, and there's education. There is all sorts of things going on. But there is an opportunity, perhaps more than anywhere else, for a little bit of quiet time, a little bit of solitude, for you to really start to think about why it is that you have embarked on this particular venture or are about to. So each of these, almost each of these words within this question have got kind of significant weight, and often kind of half it. So why am I is the first half, right? So why? Why is it that this particular challenge or this particular problem is the one that you wish to solve? All right, and it's a really deep one, because it comes down to your personality, it comes down to your experience, it comes down to the people that you've met along the way, it comes down to the disappointments you've had, it comes down to the elation and the joy, and it's really about, right, I need to hone in on what is me and what makes me tick, because you should be planning to do this for a long time. And if you are planning to do it for a long time, you really should enjoy it, and it really should be something that you really want to do, that you see as the opportunity that you need to actually make a difference to the people that you seek to serve. Yes, of course, we want to make money. Yes, absolutely. This is business, and this is what we are here to do. We want to make our families comfortable. We want to, be part of our communities and help them out, and particularly, perhaps never more so than now when others are struggling. But it is on us, and it is our responsibility to ourselves and to those around us to find the thing and to investigate and to do the work that enables us to really articulate this why. Okay, and there's a lot of work done. I don't know if you've read Simon Sinek's It Starts With Why, one of my favorite books, really amazing. Do please go and get it, listen to it. I listen to audiobooks rather than read, but do read it if that's more your thing. But it is Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K, and It Starts With Why. It's an amazing book. And it talks about the human brain, and basically, essentially, everybody's always asking why. Everybody wants to know what your agenda is. Everybody wants to know why you are doing the thing that you are doing. And unless you articulate it, and until you articulate it, everybody's going to be thinking about it. They're going to be trying to guess. They're going to be trying to understand what your motivation is for all of this work. So spend that time. Think, perhaps you can find 10 minutes, 15 minutes today to work out what it is that you are here to do. Okay, it's a big question. But when you embark on a business, and particularly when you are setting out on your own, it is nigh on impossible, I'd say, for you to build a consistent and good business, and particularly a high growth business, which is what we're all talking about here, if you don't really believe that you are doing the thing that you really want to do. Because you will get bored, tired, those blockages will come in, you will end up swerving them, the difficult things, everything will get you down. But if you have a mission, if you know categorically with incredible clarity what it is that you are here to do and why you are solving this problem, then that smashes through so much, and it makes your life so much easier when you're out there and things aren't going quite so well. So why am I is the first bit, and then solving this problem. So really important, there has to be a problem. All right, this is this is the external bit. The why am I is the internal bit. The solving this problem is the external bit. There needs to be a problem out there. If there is no problem that you are solving, then I'm afraid nobody's going to buy it. Nobody's going to want it. All right. Now, the world is littered with great ideas and people so excited about what they're going to do and why, and they really get it. And it's so exciting, but there's no problem. Nobody sees it as significant enough for anybody to really dive in. I often do, and it's probably quite mean. I think about Segway, you know, the kind of like really sort of things. I mean, great as a kind of sort of almost kitsch kind of, and it was the same, showing my age here with the Sinclair C5, if anybody remembers that. It's just that kind of personal transportation, single person thing. It's just why? It doesn't solve a problem. Nobody needed to be transported very slowly on their own from A to B without solving it via a bike or something. So you need to have a problem that you are solving, and you need to understand why it is you that is solving that. All right, when you've got those two things, again, spend some time on it, really, really important. And one of the other reasons why it's really, really important is it then flows into all of the rest of what you're trying to do. Okay, so that one element, product concept, flows all the way down, so that even by the time you get down to marketing content, all right, so this is when you are talking about what you are doing and you are putting your messaging out into the world, and we will come on to this next week, so do please join us there as well. Marketing content will be all about your product concept. Okay, it's really, once you get this, it solves this. What am I going to talk about? That's what you're going to talk about, because that is the thing that you are here to do. What else? When we're looking at sales collaboration. So here, this is where you're going to enter into some partnerships with some potential businesses who are already speaking to your market. The people that you want to get involved with here in partnership are the people that share your outlook. All right. If you are looking, if you know here that you are ethical, let's say, all right. So ethical is a really important part of your product concept. You wish to make sure that everything that you do within your business has an environmental ethos to it, and so on and so forth. Then when you get down to sales collaboration and you're approached by, I don't know, a fossil fuel company or something, you know that that doesn't fit with your product concept and you don't do it. And what that means is that for your audience, for your market, for the people that you seek to serve, there is consistency. Because that always is the thing. And you never kind of, you never caught in two minds, right? You will have questions and you will have to answer them. But broadly speaking, what you do is you go back to this and you go, do you know what? What would my concept say? Does my concept actually chime with one or the other? And it is almost always the case that it's relatively straightforward from there, because you've got your product concept, you know why you're here, you know what the problem is, and that answers the questions that otherwise hold you up. And it does, you know, every single time you have to sit and think hard about what you're going to do in your business, how you're going to make decisions, all that sort of stuff. You are creating friction, and that friction is going to slow you down. And, you know, in businesses that I've been involved with, and particularly say Zoopla, we were absolutely obsessed with friction. We were absolutely obsessed with how do we smooth everything. So it just goes so fast that people are just, you know, 3 clicks and they're there. You know, decision making so fast. How do we make the structures so flat? You know, as your businesses get bigger and bigger and bigger, this is going to help you with the hierarchy. It's going to help you with what the structure is going to be. It's going to help you with the lawyer that you employ. It's going to help, you know, how you know, whether you get involved in charity work with your profits. All of those things come from product concept. So please, 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 if there is one thing to do this week, perhaps preferably today, it is to really sit and think about the question, why am I solving this problem? Okay. Now, I could talk for hours about product concept, but I'm very mindful of time. So we've got another 4 to cover, and then we've got some questions. So again, any questions specifically on this, do ping them away. I'm more than happy to answer them towards the end. But what I want to do just now is just move on to product design. So what product design? And here we have our statue. Now this is big, obviously. So you've got that's almost the theory test, and this is the practical. So this is your right. How do I take what I want to do and the people I want to serve, and build. All right, how do I take a customer, potential customer, from being vaguely interested in what I'm doing all the way through to unbelievably delighted, happy, joyful, and telling millions of people about how amazing my product and my service is. And just actually on that, so product, when I talk about product, I am talking about whatever it is that you sell. All right, so it is not just a physical entity, as we will see. So whatever your product or service, the thing that you are going to exchange for money, for revenue, whatever that is, you have to spend time working out how it's going to operate. All right, and this is difficult, particularly if you're starting something brand new from fresh, but it's also difficult and in some ways more so if you've already got something and you've got to try and re-engineer it. So if you are out in the market and you've seen your market change considerably over the last 7 weeks, maybe a bit before, then this product design area, almost just get a blank sheet of paper and kind of start again. All right, so and it's a good thought experiment. So starting with your concept and you know the people that you wish to serve, start from, right, if I had no business, nothing right now, I would start with this, and these are the steps I would take to make my customer delighted. Okay, the reason why we've got our statue here is because in my mind I always think of it, and I'm a very visual kind of learner, I always think of it as a big block of marble. All right, so you start off here with just this big, massive chunk of marble. And the first thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be whacking chunks off it with a massive hammer. All right, so at this point, you start with just some big force. Just getting, you've got a rough idea of how it's going to turn out, something like this, obviously. But your first job is to get rid of the massive excess. So the things you're not going to go anywhere near. These are not the things that you're going to be interested in. And then you start to get to the sort of the large chisel, and then the small chisel, and then the sanding. So you are essentially iterating. All right, you are making this block, this just hefty. You could do anything. You can do so much where you are. But what you are doing in product concept and then into design is you are starting to magic something up. All right, and the way that I always think about that is, like I said, is this block of marble. How do I get from big chunk of nothing to something very beautiful and very elegant? Now, the key to this, and again, book recommendation, is Eric Ries, The Lean Startup. So Eric Ries, Eric R-I-E-S, The Lean Startup. If you haven't read it, again, really important. It's quite technical, but it is it's the go-to book for startups in general, but really helps those that are looking to re-engineer or to pivot as well. And the idea, or the thing that Reese really focuses on, is about this MVP. So then that stands for minimum viable product. So minimum viable product is the thing that you can get out into the market that costs the least to produce, that has a significant amount of your product, or what will be your product in it, or what you think your product is going to be. And you must get that out as quickly as possible. All right, and this is the rule, is basically you get an MVP, you get your minimum viable product together, and you get it out into the market as quickly as possible, because you, sitting on your own, particularly right now in your house, in a series of rooms, a collection of rooms, all very similar and samey, and you've been here for the last 7 weeks, you will not have enough of a clue. I'm not going to say any clue. You will not have enough of a clue about what your market is really going to think about your product when you put it out there. So you need to get something out into the market, and you need your potential future customers to give you feedback. Now, that feedback might be entirely passive, in that nobody buys it. All right, and that, but obviously that's information, right? That's data. That's stuff you should pay attention to. But it might also be active, so you might actually, get some star ratings and some feedback. I really like this, but I didn't like that. Blah, blah, blah. Product design is this is tough. All right, this is the hard stuff. If this was easy, everybody would be doing it. All right, and as you go through this process, and you sit there going, this is just I thought this was going to be relatively straightforward. I've got this great idea, amazing idea. I thought it was going to be pretty easy. I keep getting bogged down. People don't want my stuff. And it is the most frustrating thing. And I have been there where you're sitting there with this stuff that you just think is amazing. And you spent all this time, basically chopping, sanding, hewing this product into this perfect, beautiful little thing. And you go out into the market and you offer it out. And everyone just goes, nah, not really that interested. And it is heartbreaking. All right. But you need to steel yourself for things like that happening. And that is why a minimum viable product is so important, because if you have spent tens, hundreds of thousands of pounds or more on this product and you do go out to the market and go, ta-da, and nobody cares, then it's not just emotionally an issue, it's also kind of probably financially and existentially for your business a problem. So what you need to do is to get something that is as light touch as possible, but there's a close resemblance to where you want to get to in the end. Put it out into the market and then iterate. And this is a phrase that you will, if you've been watching my daily growth tips, see me talk about a lot. And that is about iteration. So again, comes back to the lean startup by Eric Ries. Iterate, iterate, iterate. You will not know, you cannot know what your market wants right off the bat. Sorry. If you do, and you get it right off the bat, bravo and congratulations. I have never come across it, and I think it is infinitesimally rare. But it might happen. For those of the rest of us who are mere mortals, you are going to have to keep iterating, because it is not going to be straightforward, and it is not going to come easily. You are going to have to go out, show stuff, retreat, tweak it slightly, go back out again, get some more feedback, retreat, tweak. And your job in product design is to make those iterations as few as possible, so that you get to where you want to go for your launch. Okay, this is kind of all pre-launch. For the actual launch of your product, when you actually go out and say, this is us, you want to make those iterations as few as possible. So you want to have as many questions answered each time you go out as possible. Okay, and that's why you need to make sure that you're designing with the end in mind. So you are wanting, and this again is a key phrase, you want to get product market fit. Okay, that product market fit is everything for any business. Your market wants something, your product is something, and those things need to fit together. And if they don't fit together, then you are not going to sell half as much, if any, of what you want to. So product market fit, this is in design. What you do is you keep going out to the market, testing, retreating, changing, going back out again. So iterating. It is the case, and again, something I talk about quite a lot. If people don't know that they're sick, they're never going to buy medicine. All right, so you need to go out and make sure that your medicine fits with what their particular need is, or their particular illness is. And then you are, again, it goes back to product concept, you are solving the problem for them. And if there is no problem, then you are not going to be able to shift the load of these. So product design, again, huge topic, massive. All right, but now is the time. Now is the time to really think about this stuff, because and you are so rarely afforded this time. And this is why we wanted to do Lockdown Launchpad, was because now's the time for people like you, for us, all of us, to think about the reality of what's out there and what we're doing and why we're doing it, rather than what our fanciful human brains would like us to believe, which is that perhaps, when we do peek outside, when we finally walk out into the lights blinking, things are going to be mostly the same as they were before. It is unlikely, and I think we kind of all know that things are going to be very like they were before. So we have to think about how we are going to change. And the fact that you guys are on this as well already is great. But obviously, anything we can do to help, we'd be absolutely delighted to. The product design element, the thinking behind it is for now. You need to be thinking about, right, what are the various different iterations that might come, and how can I plan for those as start to come back to us. Right, so that's product design. Again, huge topic, lot of focus in there, but this is where you start to see benefits, you start to see results, and it starts to feel like, actually, do you know what, we might have something here, so keep iterating. Right, next up, product service. So you have a product. Ta-da! Well done, congratulations. You have a market that you know is interested in this, has some concept that this is potentially something that you want to do, sorry, that they want from you. But what you want to know now is, at what level are you going to pitch this? All right, so this is what it is. This is essentially the delivery mechanism. Okay, so this is the market. So are you going to go after the super luxe area of the market, the premium, the top end? Are you going to go after the broad mid-market in the middle, or are you going to go for the volume end of the market at the bottom? Those are some of the questions that you need to answer in product service. It is about your audience. It is about who you are here to serve. Okay, that's why it's called service, because you have to now start to create a vision in your mind, and you may already have it from concept. Again, this is why concept is so important. Concept fits into everything. All right, fits into design. All right, because if one of your concepts again is this kind of ethical nature, then anything you do in design, you're not going to produce some gas guzzling piece of nonsense. You are going to make it as slick and as ethical as possible. So, product concept is very important. Product service again feeds off product concept. So, what are you here to do? Why are you doing this thing? Why are you solving this particular problem? And the people that you are here to serve, the people that you wish to solve the problem for, are the people that you want to that you need to have in your mind at all times. So I've just changed my slide deck here, and you can see I've got a podium with three different areas, and I'll dive in specifically on the three in a sec. But when you think about your audience, when you think about who you are here to serve, it is always useful, in my experience, to kind of have avatars. And it's funny to think about avatars and that word and how it's become something quite dominant now, but it kind of didn't really mean anything. It was that random film. Anyway. So avatars are essentially a kind of a proxy for your market, for who you think you are here to serve. So if, for example, I want to serve people who like Chinese food and are vegetarians, then I have in my mind, I start to think about, right, I need to work out how my product is going to fit with that particular market, and then it feeds off. Is it going to be quite complex? Is it going to be digital? Is it going to be delivered on a bicycle? All of these different questions around service come from, or around the product, also come through the service element. So people wanting to understand and to know why you are serving them. All right, people will buy from other people if they believe that this service is for them, and your job is to reinforce regularly that this product is about that particular customer base. I've often found, and this again comes down to kind of the ambition of entrepreneurs, and I celebrate that hugely and think it is an amazing thing, and nobody would get anything off the ground without the ambition that you guys and SMEs show. But a lot of that then is potentially quite compromised, because what you want to do is you want to serve everybody. You want to go out and make everybody buy your stuff, because obviously that you serve more people, and also you make a lot more money. So on both of those metrics, but trying to serve the mass market or everybody, just saying, so who do you want to serve? Everybody, feels okay and feels ambitious and feels like the kind of thing you should do. I would caution against that hugely. I have seen the best businesses have a very, very, very strong initial, and even if you broaden out later, that's fine. But initially, you need to have that avatar really quite tight, and you need to kind of envision them whenever you're, again, making decisions around anything to do with the the product, with marketing, with sales, you need to understand who you are here to serve and where they are, where they hang out in marketing, how to contact them in sales. So this service element again, and all of the product ones are really, really strong, really important. But within service, you have got to think about, if you're an estate agent, for example, are you going to serve the luxury end of the market? Is your avatar for your core product going to be somebody in their 70s shortly going to downsize, or are they going to be somebody in their 30s who's looking to have a family? Those are the decisions that you need to be thinking about and you're making, because when you start to appeal to them, and again, you start to talk to them directly in marketing, you start to sell to them, they see you through your concept as authentic, and they see you as for them rather than for everybody. Instinctively, and also from your own experience, when you go out to somewhere or something and you see that it's just, this is for everybody, come and get this for everybody, it doesn't feel as valuable. Okay, and in the world that we are in and moving towards more, you are going to have to find your value and deliver it to perhaps more of a niche audience than you would otherwise have thought that you would. Obviously, the volume is if you go after the wider, but you will get people who are less interested, and you'll get people who are less committed to you, and you will be able to charge less as a result. If you are able to say, right, I have a very, very strong concept of who I'm here to serve and what those people look like and their avatars, and I'm going to chase them, then they feel that and they know that. And then when you then come to sit down with them and talk to them about exactly what it is that you can do at that moment that they want to buy, you are much better positioned to be able to charge appropriately, or a premium, for what you are doing, than if you are just seen as all things to everybody. All right, so this again is a really, really important step. Think about your product concepts, think about your service level. Who is it that you want to deliver to? And again, as you can see from our little podium here, you may find that there are 3 distinct levels of service that you want to offer. Okay, and you may find and that you have a kind of premium, and then a mid-tier, and then a volume end. And those different levels of people, and pricing particularly, and we're about to dive into pricing, so I'll talk about that in more detail in a sec. You can broaden your market from that tight niche, but please do think about that tight niche. Think about who they are, what they're doing, and then how you're going to deliver your product to them. But then also think, right, okay, so I've got those guys, and they're kind of in the middle, and then how do you go one above and one below? So product service, critical. You need to have in your mind almost at all times who it is that you're here to serve, and it needs to be relatively tight. Okay, the broader you go out, as you get bigger, and when you are a massive multinational, then go nuts. But for now, when you're building your business, when you're thinking about pivots, when you're thinking about how you're going to double down on the business or the market that you've got right now, then really focus, really make it tight, and really make sure you're clear about who you're serving and why. Okay, so next up, we're on pricing. Pricing is fun. Okay, pricing is it's almost hilarious, right? That you can put your price wherever you like. Right? You can charge thousands, tens of thousands for what you do, or you can charge very little, a few quid. All right. Obviously, there's some inputs. Obviously, the cost of production is very important, and you need to have a margin in there too. But what I really like about pricing is it kind of its immediacy. You can kind of change it, and you can see almost instantaneously what that does to take up. You will not be unaware of all of the kind of bucket shops that you can go to get everything for a quid. Some of the entrance to your markets might have gone just purely down the price route. It's a really interesting lever. All right, and if you think about the hard work that you've done so far, you've done your concept, you've done your design, you've done your service, because you now know who it is that you're here to serve, and you've done some real hard thinking about that, you've got a design so you know roughly how much it costs to build your thing, and you've got a real belief about why you're here to do it. Your pricing feeds off those. So it will be at a level that these people can afford, because it has to be, because otherwise they're not going to buy it. It will cover these costs and give you some more and have the potential for additional growth, but also be mindful of what happens if this goes up. If when you're iterating your big slab of marble and you've actually realized that you're going to have to introduce this other element that is going to take some development work and is going to take a bit more time, then you just need to be mindful of that, and whether you're just going to suck that up and get some investment and sink it, or whether you're going to need to try and reflect an ongoing cost as a result of that change in the pricing too. So pricing is a really important lever, and it's one that I find in a lot of clients is really hard, because you don't really know. I mean, unless you're in a competitive market where there is already players out there who are charging a certain level, and you have an anchor to work from. Another really great book, Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow. Okay, it's all about the psychology of decision-making, choice architecture. Have a look, Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow, really, really, really interesting. It goes on about things like why you might see things for £4.99 rather than £5. And everybody says, why don't you just make it £5? There is a huge psychological, and done so many experiments on it. People see the 4 first, and that's their anchor. And then they see that the 99 is almost irrelevant. And that's why perennially you see all these slightly lower than the next number up. A really interesting book, and one that we could dive into another time, I'm sure. But for pricing, when you're setting it for your product, you need to think about, obviously, the psychology of this. So actually, how are you going to make sure that people are not put off by it, and it matches the qualities and the concepts that you are looking to put out there? And one of my favorite ways of doing this is to have the kind of triple product that I mentioned in service. What this does for you is it allows you to provide to the widest possible kind of very niche vertical that you are here to serve, but to provide a variety of different price points for those that maybe fall into different income brackets or whatever. So the way that I think of these is kind of gold, silver, bronze. All right, and you may think of them as platinum, gold, silver. You may think of them as 1, 2, 3, ABC, whatever it is. So I'm going to talk in terms of gold, silver, and bronze. All right, so your silver package is the intermediate one. That's the middle one. That has to be where your profit is. All right, so if you didn't have any other pricing or any other products up and down, then this would be the only thing that you did. All right, so that's got to be the one that you want to sell most of. That has got to be the one where most of the profit is, and that has got to be the one where most people will end up. And I'll also tell you why most people will end up there anyway in a second. But silver is the really cool one. So when you are designing all this up, design with silver in mind, but then when you get to pricing, think then about what you can take away to make it into a bronze, and what crazy stuff you can add in to make it into a gold. Okay, so you've got your silver, which is your profit engine, all right, and that is essentially your concept. This is your idea. When you are taking away products from or different features of your product to make it a bronze, think about where you want that price to land. Okay, so again, you know who these people are. Some of them will not be able to afford silver, some of them will be able to afford gold. Can you get them interested enough in your product and your brand that they go for the bronze product, and then you can start to get them on the escalator? Okay, so it's an entry level. It is something that they buy, and then over time they're going, do you know what? This is the business I thought it was. These guys are here to serve me, and they do what they say, and their concept is so amazing, I am going to upgrade to silver. So bronze is really that, just that little taster almost. And in general terms, I would say that it's probably about 20% in terms of pricing of what the silver is. Okay, so it is So, and you have to obviously hack some core features out in order that it doesn't, the actual value that people are getting is not closer to 100% of silver. But I do find that's often quite straightforward. If you can, go and have a look at some of those websites where they do have these triple products. And there's loads of them, particularly in the SaaS area, so software as a service, where you go on to, I don't know, Salesforce or something like that, and you've got your kind of one in the middle that says package X or package Y, and it's got a big star saying most popular. And then it's got feature, tick, 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 tick. And then feature, cross. And then the bronze one has got feature, tick, tick, and then cross. So it's just the way your eye scoots across the page. It's very effective, and the reason you see it so often is because it works. So you've got feature, tick, 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 tick all the way across, and then the next 5 features. So you have 2 features that are in all 3, okay, in gold, silver, and bronze, 2 of them. Then you have 5 features, say, that are in silver and gold, but I've got X's against them in bronze, right? So already fear of missing out is there. I'm thinking, wow, actually those things are not in my bronze package. And then the gold package has maybe got another 3 on top as well. So we've got 10 features, benefits, and you've got the gold one with all 10, you've got the silver one with 7, and you've got the bronze one with 2. And that's kind of how I would structure this kind of gold, silver, bronze idea. The gold one, probably at least twice as expensive as silver. Again, you want it to be aspirational. You've got to include something relatively chunky in there in these 3 additional features. Things like always on support is a good thing to have in gold. People like that. Concierge type services, all of those things that just make people feel super special. And there are people still who consider themselves, I would say, better than anybody else, consider themselves top, consider themselves the kind of people who buy the premium of everything. So giving them permission to buy your most premium product is a good thing and can be very profitable as well. So keep in mind those kind of 3 levels. Other things to think about in pricing, and I'm very mindful of time, is setup fees. So other things to think about are setup fees. Now, setup fees are quite exciting, and I quite like them mainly because you can negotiate them away. All right, and I'm going to spend just another couple of minutes talking about how you can use pricing as urgency. So if you've got a setup fee, then you have something to negotiate with. All right, you don't want to touch your price, particularly if it's a subscription, right? You don't want people thinking that that the price is too variable, certainly to come down from where you want it to be. So having a setup fee enables you to negotiate that away, and for everybody to feel like they've got a deal. All right, and the person who on their own table goes, wow, amazing, they've given me that setup fee free. You can also say, look, if you sign up in the next 2 weeks, you don't have to pay the setup fee. All right, that urgency, using pricing as urgency is a really important thing as well. You can also, you can vary it. If it's a gold, then it might be different to if it's the bronze and things like that. So setup fees, have a think about them. They might be appropriate. A lot more appropriate in business to business in general, rather than business to consumer, but still something worth thinking about. Other things that drive urgency, and I've said in some of my podcasts before about the kind of 3-month rolling cycle. So you don't get too confused, and also you are true to what you're saying in concept and what you're telling your customers. So if I say, right, this month only, no setup fee, sign by the end of the month, you don't pay a setup fee, then that gives me some urgency. But then I can't have no setup fee in month 2. Okay, I have to have something different. So what I would generally say in month 2 is 20% off or 10% off or something. Okay, so that then gives them, so by the end of month 2, you will have got all of those who quite like that idea. And then in month 3, what you might say is a free upgrade, okay, for a limited period of time. So for 3 months, you get the free upgrades from bronze to silver or silver to gold. So those just give you different ideas around what can drive urgency and what can make sure that people make decisions quickly enough for you and your business as you get out there. The final thing I want to talk about on pricing, and again, like I said, I can go on forever about this, is about launch pricing and where you position that, because this is really hard as well, right? If you've got this idea and you really think, I really want to get this out to the market, where do you put it? Where do you price it, particularly if it is different to what other people have? So you need to understand Obviously, your cost base, you need to understand, you need to have done some work about where you want to go. And again, I talk in podcasts about this 3-year kind of plan. You need a 1 year, you need a 3 year, you need a 5 year. But what you want to do is to think about where you want to be in year 3, what your pricing level needs to be in year 3. Because, and discount back from that. All right. And this is reasonably conceptual, so I'm just going to very quickly kind of go a bit deep into it. So if, for example, you have a product that you think by year 3 you're going to be wanting to charge, say, 500 quid for, all right, let's just say that's where silver lands. What you don't want to do is to start at kind of, you don't want to start with a price that is going to be way lower than that. So you want to start at 100 quid. Because then if you're going to get up to £500 by year 3, you're going to have to do significant percentage increases up to then. All right, that is what people are going to look at, and they're going to go, you have increased the price of this by 100%, 200%, 300% over 5 years. That's crazy. So what you need to do is you need to start with the 500 in your mind, and then you need to have a 40-50% discount in year 1. So actually people know that this is a discount. People sit there and go, right, okay, I get that in year 1 you're going to discount it to that. So again, let's say that we are going to discount it to £300 in year 1. So you've got a 40% discount. Brilliant. So everyone goes, wow, that's amazing, that's lovely, fantastic. So I'll buy that in year 1. And obviously when you're launching a new product out to the market, you need people to see that it is, that they're going to get value for early adoption. All right, that they are the guinea pigs. They're going to test your product. They're going to give you feedback. They're going to help you to iterate. So they kind of need something in return for that. Otherwise, they're not going to take that risk. They're not going to invest in what you're providing. So I'd start at 500, whatever it is. I'd discount by say 40%, and then in year 2, I would then reduce the discount. Okay, so let's reduce the discount from 40% to 20%. Okay, so that will actually increase the price from £300 to £400. So let's get these maths right. So what you've got there is, rather than, because the other way of looking at that is you've gone up from £300 to £400, which in cold terms is like a 33% increase. That's a third. And everyone will be just going, no, how can that be 33% better than it was last year? But just by having a higher price that you've discounted from and decreasing that discount, you've changed the conversation. You've made people feel that they're getting value and they're getting better things, that they're getting a lot more from that. So that's just a really, really important way. And I'm very mindful I've kind of rushed through that. But if you want to talk about it or want to know more about that, then please do let me know. More than happy to run through it. But pricing, so important, good fun, but really needs a lot of thought and care around it as well. All right, so those are the first 4 elements of product. We're now on product USP. Every business needs to have something that's unique to it. Okay, every business, because otherwise you wouldn't. Nobody's going to pay any attention whatsoever. Me Too products, even the ones that are, that look very similar, they've all got something. They've all got something that's a little bit different, and you've got to work out what yours is. Now, as you've seen, so this is products. This is something unique in your product. It's not unique in your marketing or anything like that at this point. You have to, you've done these 4 things. You've done pricing, service, design, and concept. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pop back into each and see where we can find our USP and which is the best for USP. So we can start with pricing. So imagine that you have decided to make pricing your USP. So essentially you're telling the world that you are going to be the cheapest or the most expensive, okay? Because that's kind of where you are, right? There is an extreme one end or the other. What happens very quickly with having pricing as a USP is it stops being a USP. And the reason it stops being a USP is because somebody else comes in and does it cheaper or does it more expensive. So I would argue strongly, and I do regularly, that pricing is a terrible, 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 terrible USP, because you don't have anywhere to go. You will always find somebody coming into the market and thinking, well, if they can do it at that price, all I need to do is just shave something off the design and I can get it at a lower price. Okay, so please, please don't do product pricing. Don't do pricing as USP. It will be the death of you. It will cause you so much grief. It will cause you to focus so hard on what other people are doing and whether they're attacking your pricing that you will just end up exhausted and broke. Okay, those two things, they're not good. All right, so pricing, don't touch pricing as USP. Product service. So can you pick a particular niche and a particular group of people, a cohort that you can service that is unique and different? And you can probably find them. You could, you might go for mid-teen goths, I don't know, and you can service them, and that'd be quite unique for a while. But then mid-teen goths might then decide that they're going to that they quite like it, but actually what else is out there? And perhaps a mid-teen goth might set up their own business to service their community from within. So this again it's better, don't get me wrong, anything's better than pricing, but it still does not give you that kind of moat around your business that is going to enable you to confidently push out into all these other areas and know that your USP is locked in. So services is rattly, I wouldn't recommend it. Product design, now we're talking about something that you have spent so long doing. You've iterated, you've done this sculpture, you have made something so impressive that it's kind of you, right? And it's different and it's distinct. So that can be a unique selling point, can't it? Kind of. The thing that I worry about design is that in the end, somebody can pull it apart and discover what you've done. All right, and I look at this, just random things like, I don't know, drinks or, digital cameras or, anything, Burger King, I don't know, all of those things that are nearly unique, but not quite. Somebody has got in and done a reasonable facsimile of it that means that the market is fragmented, and people who might have bought Burger or might have bought McDonald's can go to Burger King, might have bought Coke, go to Pepsi. It fragments that market and means that actually that by having just the design as being the thing is not going to necessarily maximize your USP. All right, and as an SME right now, this is critical. You need to maximize your USP, and you need to make sure that you are doing things really that are different to others, because you need that leapfrog, you need that jump in the market. So design is much better than this, so much better than that. It is better than this, but it's still not perfect, all right? And guess where we're going? Your USP should be your product concept. Okay, your USP should be your product concept. When you start with all this, why am I solving this problem? The answers and the history and the experience and the time and the care and the love and all those sorts of things that you are here to exhibit and to deliver can only be you. Okay, now that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be in all the advertising campaigns, although you might choose to do that. But what it does mean is that everything that emanates from your product concept, the reason why you're here, what the problem is that you're solving and why, drills down, becomes this whole piece of everything that you are doing. And it's very easy to look at some of the big guys like Google and Apple and say, well, obviously that's kind of there. You've got the quality side of things with Apple. You've got Steve Jobs going into everything and making sure all of the stuff inside a phone is as good and looks so slick as everything outside it. You've got the search, just how they went after search. They wanted to make sure that people could find stuff they couldn't otherwise do, catalog the work. That concept is unique. And that has enabled those businesses to become so powerful and so strong but deliver and service the people that they seek to serve. So that's why, interestingly, we look at things like the iPod. Sony had something out there way before them, but they didn't have this concept and this whole aesthetic and the whole kind of idea of what they wanted to do as clearly defined as Apple and so on. So USP to round out product, always please, particularly when you're starting out, you need to be so clear on this, because this informs these, but also is absolutely your your product USP. All right, I realised I didn't actually click on my nothing. See. All right, so time for a couple of quick questions, like really quick. So I've got one in from Sarah. So how do I know when my product is finished? Quick answer to that is you don't, and it probably never is. You need to keep going. You need to keep changing. You need to keep looking at what it is that that you are doing. You need to keep iterating. The market will change. People will change. A coronavirus pandemic will erupt, and life pivots. So product design and when your product is finished, it's probably never going to be finished. You always need to be carefully tending to it and perhaps sanding bits of that sculpture along the way at all times. Okay, if you do have any other questions, please just send them in. I can see there's a few more. I will answer them all, I promise, and I will email them back to you. And perhaps we can cover off some others in a future webinar in due course if appropriate. So you have seen, obviously, so thank you so much. It is now 3 minutes to 9, and you've been kind enough to spend essentially this hour with me. So I hope you've got something out of this. This has been the Lockdown Launchpad product edition. Next week, we're going to focus on marketing. Okay, same time, we're going to focus on messaging, how you get your brand, intel, content, distribution, advertising out there. Please do join me. Please do register for that. And then we're going to be doing sales in the last week of May, so that by June, you will have a real full understanding of how, during this lockdown period, particularly the next 3 weeks, you can get to grips with this.